What's up, everybody? So, man, here we are once again. Another great influencer from the past has left us, a great influencer and a great contributor to the classic rock sound. Someone who came up in that great era, that great period, or the renaissance of creativity, as I call it. Randy Meisner, very, very well known from the lineup of the Eagles. Sorry to hear of his passing. And first off, thank you very much to Chris Jackson. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate you giving me that notification, man. And actually, Chris is a lady. So, Chris, thank you very much. I believe your name might be Christine. So, yeah, Randy, I understand. He passed away because of complications with congested heart issues. And he was, I believe, 75. So it's really, really interesting for me to take a look into the history of specifically Randy Meisner. I'm a little bit more familiar, of course, with Glenn Frey and Don Henley of the Eagles, also Joe Walsh. But, it's really, really good to take a look at all of the members. So I really want to have a really great spotlight on Randy. Now, Chris sent me a link to arguably Randy's best performance and best song, of course, being Take It to the Limit. And whenever I think of the Eagles, I think of two songs, Take It to the Limit and One of These Nights. To me, that's what first comes to my mind. Of course, Hotel California is a standard. So let's do this, man. As my format for tributes go, I'll do the reaction portion, and then I'll do the review portion following. So this is the Eagles featuring Randy Meisner live in 1977, and it doesn't say where the venue is. Live in 1977, so I don't think they had Joe Walsh in their lineup at that point. I could be wrong though. Alright, so the Eagles featuring the great Randy Meisner. Let's get it. Cheers to you, sir. Rest in peace.
one more time. Take it to the limit. Take it to the limit. Take it to the limit. One more time.
Who matches the Eagles in harmony, in your opinion?
To the limit.
Let me know.
Take it to the limit. Well, come on and take it to the limit. One more time. Take it to the limit. Take it to the limit. Well, you gotta take it to the limit. One more time. Take it to the limit. Take it to the limit. Well, come on and take it to the limit. One more time. Take it to the limit. Take it to the limit. Take it to the limit.
You got an angel singing here, man.
Take it to the limit. Well, come on and take it to the limit. You gotta take it to the limit one more time. Thank you.
Beautiful. Fantastic, man. The great Randy Meisner, accompanied by the equally great members of the Eagles. Man, these guys are legendary. Fantastic. You know, I know, just not in detail, but I know that they didn't sometimes get along based on whatever. I don't know if it was creative differences, administrative differences, whatever the case may be. I know that some of the members were hired, and you know, they didn't, let's say, have equal share of the pie. I'm not quite sure, but sometimes I know that they didn't get along. But damn, man, you put these guys on a stage together, you put instruments in their hand in front of a crowd, in the studio too, you know, but you know, of course, in front of a crowd, you know, and the essence comes through. You see their manners of expression, you see them looking at each other and smiling. All of that stuff, I'm sure, just goes to the wayside, whatever their differences might be. Put them up on stage and you give those guys a platform and they create magic. And when you're talking about Randy singing Take It to the Limit, man, you know, and again, I'm going to say this all the time, I was not brought up on classic rock, but you can't deny the greatness of a song, whether it's classic rock, whether it's funk, whether it's whatever the hell the case may be. And this is a great song. And it had my attention way back in the day when I was a kid. I loved the harmonies. I loved the way the song was going. In my mind, I never saw it as a sappy ass love song. You know what I mean? So it had my attention from the get. And when he started going high, oh, it's soul piercing, isn't it? So wherever I was, I'd say, yo, everybody shut the hell up. An angel is singing. And I tuned right into this song. Like I said, man, there's two songs that really, really gets me when you're talking about the Eagles. This one and One of These Nights. Those are my babies, right? Anyway, so hey, let's do this, man. Let us take... You know, guys, let me ask you a question, man. Let me ask you a question. And again, I wasn't brought up on rock and roll, but whenever one of these influencers pass, don't you feel like the world is slowly changing a little bit? Don't you feel a sense of loss, in the sense of the world isn't as big and expansive, and it's kind of I don't know what the hell I'm trying to say, but every time one of these great influencers pass, it's a great loss, and it's as if we're losing a little bit of our identity and ourselves with each passing of these influencers. That's how I feel anyway. Yeah, and again, this is coming from a guy who was not brought up in classic rock, but I feel it all the same. Let's do this, y'all. Let's do a little background on Randy Meisner, get an idea for his life. His Wikipedia page is massive, y'all. And he's been busy throughout his entire life, it seems. He's got all of these timestamps, early life, all of the interactions, all of the bands. I'm going to jump around, of course. I'm going to hit the major highlights here. So let's start with Randy Meisner. Randy Meisner. Randall Herman Meisner. Born March 8, 1946 to July 26, 2023. Was an American musician, singer-songwriter, and founding member of the Eagles. Throughout his professional music career, Meisner's main role was that of bassist and backing high harmony vocalist as both a group member and session musician. He co-wrote the Eagles hit Take It to the Limit, which he also sang. Let's go down here. Early life. Meisner was born in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, the second child and only son of farmers Herman and Emily Meisner. All four of his grandparents were Volga German immigrants. He recalled that his mother was always singing around the house. His material grandfather, George Hahn, was a violin teacher. So he had the music bug early. It's good. Young Randy developed an interest in the guitar at 10 years old after seeing Elvis perform on The Ed Sullivan Show. He began taking lessons and playing in local bands. While attending Scottsbluff High School, one of Randy's teachers suggested he take up the bass. Quote, I loved R&B and bass players on the Motown stuff were great. They really inspired me. I can't read music. Once I learn a part, it's there. My bass playing came naturally. Unquote. Excellent, excellent. Some people are great at playing the bass naturally and some people aren't. I remember Jeff Beck once saying that Jimmy Page, when he joined the Yardbirds and they put a bass guitar in his hand, he was competent, but he wasn't good. That made me laugh, I don't know why. Career, the Dynamics. Later called the Driven Dynamics, he joined from 61 to 65. Then Meisner moved to California with a band named the Soul Survivors, later to be renamed The Poor. Because, as Don Felder later said, quote, that is what they became, unquote. It was a hand-scrabble existence, as Meisner later recalled, quote, I never had a car, I had to walk everywhere, unquote. Humble beginnings, man. See, it's stories like these that I love listening to, especially coming from this era in time. These guys, man, in the 60s really had to pay their dues. You know what I'm saying? And walking everywhere, living meagerly, holding down a bunch of jobs, and maybe at the time they had a vision of where they were, the environment they were in a sense of, yeah, man, I'm in the middle of a creative bug right now, and I've got to ride this out. I think, well, what do you think? Do you think most of them realized that they were on a road to greatness at the time, and that they had to do their best to get into an outfit and get something moving because it was the moment of opportunity? Do you believe that most of these influencers from back then had that awareness? I would say it's 50-50, you know? Maybe he had that awareness, maybe he didn't, I'm not quite sure. But you definitely had to have something that drove you to excel and be this good. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thought. But I think about some of the sacrifices these artists had to make to get where they got to. You know, I heard about Bob Seger, you know, walking into a restaurant and people are looking at him and, you know, judging him for his long hair and, you know, is that a woman? Damn, you know, stuff like that. I think it's Robert Plant who got ushered out of a restaurant at gunpoint. Yo, man, unbelievable. So these guys really paid their dues in so many ways. So I really appreciate that period of time the most. Where the hell was I, man? I never had a car. Okay. In the summer of 67, The Poor was booked for 2 weeks at the Salvation Club in New York, opening for the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Though they did get to play a few times, it was not the opportunity they had hoped it would be, and the band members had to threaten management to get their money for plane tickets back to LA. Again, you see what I'm saying? Definitely having to pay their dues and dealing with a whole bunch of corruption in the industry. All right, you've got talent, you've got potential, and you're on the road to somewhere, only to have your potential earnings being robbed from you. You know what I'm talking about? Dues being paid. In May of 68, after auditioning alongside Greg Allman and Timothy B. Schmidt, Meisner joined Poco, originally named Pogo, with former Buffalo Springfield members Richie Furay and Jim Meisner. In 69, Meisner joined Rick Nelson's Stone Canyon Band. Man, he's been active, hasn't he? He's been all over. At night, he played in a band called Gold Rush that featured Stephen A. Love, later to become a member of New Riders of the Purple Sage. By mid-1971, he was recruited by John Bolin to become active in Linda Ronstadt's roster of backing musicians, which included Don Henley, Glenn Frey, and Bernie Leadon, who later joined Meisner as the founding members of the Eagles. I love how it all connects. You know, I love how the story unrolls and they merge. The Eagles, 71 to 77. It's in September of 71, Meisner, along with Don Henley, Glenn Frey, and Bernie Leadon, formed the Eagles, signing with David Geffen's new label, Asylum Records, and they released their eponymous debut album in 72. While he usually played the bass and handled backing vocals for the Eagles, he wrote, co-wrote, and/or sang lead on songs on each of the group's first 5 albums, most notably Take It to the Limit, the band's first million-selling single, and the 3rd song released from one of these nights. 2 great songs on that album, I'm sure there were more. Other songs he wrote and sang lead on includes Try and Love Again, Is It True, Take the Devil, Tryin', and he also wrote the song Certain Kind of Fool with Frey and Henley, which also had him singing lead. So he contributed greatly to the band. According to band colleague Don Felder, Meisner's time in the band was weighed down by his desire to be with his family, as well as the constant bickering between the members, which was still unknown to the public at the time. During the 76-77 tour in support of the album Hotel California, Meisner was plagued by ill health and exhaustion, as the band toured frequently for over 11 months. Meisner also preferred not to be the center of attention and said, quote, "I was always kind of shy. They wanted me to stand in the middle of the stage to sing, take it to the limit, but I like to be out of the spotlight," unquote. In this case, brother, you got no choice. The band was starting to feel the strain in a long tour, and Meisner was unhappy. His stomach ulcers had flared up, and his marriage was also gradually disintegrating. Damn, man. You see what I'm saying? Sacrifices. He had been arguing with fellow member Glenn Frey about his signature song Take It to the Limit during the tour, as Meisner was struggling to hit the crucial high notes in the song. Yeah, man, if your health is questionable and you've got a touring schedule like that, yeah, that would knock the hell out of you for sure. At their show in Knoxville, Tennessee, Meisner decided to skip the song as an encore, as he had stayed up late and caught the flu, and Frey and Meisner then became involved in an angry physical confrontation backstage. I heard that Frey can be really, really difficult. After the altercation, Meisner was frozen out from the band, and Meisner later said, quote, "That was the end. I really felt like I was a member of the group, not a part of it," unquote. Meisner decided to leave the group after the final date of the tour and return to Nebraska to be with his family. His last performance was in East Troy, Wisconsin on September 3rd in 77. The band replaced Meisner with the same musician who had succeeded him in Poco, Timothy B. Schmidt, after agreeing that Schmidt was the only candidate. Meisner formally quit the band in September 77, citing exhaustion. I bet you there were a lot of members of bands back in those days quitting for the same reason, exhaustion. I remember, I believe it's John Paul Jones in Led Zeppelin who was really exhausted and he wanted to go back. Or no, he was exhausted, but John Bonham was really missing his family and he was starting to maybe suffer depression. But in a case like that, when you're constantly around people, it could probably erupt into different types of behavior, including aggression and stuff like that, and bouts of anger. On the subject of his abrupt resignation from the band, Meisner later said, "All that stuff and all the arguing amongst the Eagles is over now. Well, at least for me," unquote. Okay, let's scroll down and just read the last two bits here. Imposter case, let's read that. In '88, a man named Louis Peter Buddy Morgan started impersonating Meisner. He had previously been charged with impersonating Don Henley in Las Vegas, but he skipped on his bail. Morgan's identity was not conclusively revealed until '97. In '98, Morgan was again arrested and spent 16 months in prison for impersonation. Upon his release, Morgan continued his charade and was still doing so as of 2009. Damn. Talk about glutton for punishment. In Reno, he often tried to use Meisner's identity to rent hotel rooms. He was not as successful as years earlier with the ruse, since the city's hotels had notified each other of the imposter. Some people are not familiar with Meisner's appearance, and Morgan used that fact to con musical instrument manufacturers and retailers, casino owners, and women. Oh my God, man. Yo. So, the question is, I don't think that he had any talent. He probably couldn't sing. He was just stealing the identity. Wow. Personal life. Meisner married twice. He married his high school girlfriend, Jennifer Lee Barton, in '63, and the young couple had a son, Dana Scott Meisner, in November of '63. The couple had two more kids, twins, Heather Lee and Eric Shane Meisner, born in May of 1970 before divorcing in '81. He later married his girlfriend of 12 years, Lana Ray, in November of '96. The marriage lasted until her death in 2016. Many people who met and worked with Meisner remarked on his kindness. Don Felder, James Taylor, and Rick Roberts described Meisner as one of the nicest people they had ever worked with. Felder added, quote, "He was a wonderful Midwestern guy with a great heart and a loving soul," unquote. Henry Diltz, who photographed Meisner extensively with the Eagles in the early '80s during Meisner's solo career, said, "Meisner was a very gentle soul. He was a Pisces, a quiet and friendly guy." Fellow Pisces right here. To all the great Pisces out there, you're the shit. A quiet and friendly guy, no aggressive vibe at all. Very sweet. He was so there and open, unquote. His shyness was also remarked upon and may have caused him some difficulty as a performer at times. Quote, "Randy was extremely uncomfortable with so-called superstardom," unquote. Don Henley told author Mark Elliott. And that's another question too. And these guys getting into these bands, a lot of them are unassuming, meaning, they're like, okay, yeah, I'll hit it for a couple of years, make a couple of money, save some bucks, and, kind of set myself up on high. But they're not thinking about the big boom of fame. And so perhaps maybe Randy never saw how big they would get. He never saw the fact that they would have a number one hit song where he had to be center stage in front of people. Maybe he had a fear of public speaking and public expression, and then here you are in the middle of a stage, with thousands of people looking at you, and you've got to perform? Damn. I can only imagine. I'm guessing that's probably a symptom of that. But I bet you there's a number of bands out there from that era who never foresaw how big they would get and then have to deal with all of those different challenges of fame. What do you think of that? Let me know about that. Randy's passing. Meisner died due to complications associated with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, in LA, July 26, 2023, at the age of 77. Rest in peace to you, sir. You know, even though I don't know much about you, I heard great things about you. And, you know, that one song, you know, I'm sure that I'm probably familiar with other songs he's written and performed, but just that one song alone, you know, could sometimes elevate you to the echelons of greatness, and take it to the limit. Certainly has done. You're a class act, sir. All right. So that, y'all, is my reaction, review, and tribute to the great Randy Meisner. And this guy definitely paid his dues, man. From a very, very young age, being active throughout his career, and despite going through that era of turbulence with band members and bad managers and the discrimination factor for his long hair back in the day and all of these different things, he's definitely reached that high echelon of success. And yeah, I appreciate these icons bringing the music to us. And this is the stuff that I like to hear about, the story behind the song. Every song has a story. Every band has their hardships and their all of these different things. So I appreciate the music more when I learn about what the band had to do to get the music to us. Don't you? I really appreciate that about these great influencers. All right, man. Let me scroll down real quick here before I bounce. And Chris Jackson, thank you again. Thank you again very much for the link and the notification. Notes. Yeah, so guys, I have one super quick note here. You've noticed in the past month that there's been a lot of content on my channel all of a sudden getting unblocked. And people have been asking me, yo, Wayne, how the hell are all of these reactions getting unblocked? I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. But I remember one of my subscribers, great patron John, he said to me, hey, Wayne, maybe it has something to do with the age of the music in your reactions. Maybe, you know, they become public domain in a sense. And so maybe the algorithm is smart and wise to that. It could be that, right? But I have no idea how and why the idea of them becoming unblocked, what the criteria is. So whenever I see that it's unblocked, I basically just publish it, you know, because I don't know how long it's going to stay unblocked. Because sometimes I sit there and I hum and I haw, and then the moment has passed. But then I think to myself, do I really want to actually publish it, knowing that within another day or so it might get blocked again, and then I might actually get, you know, somebody mad at me. So I struggle with that, you know, just so you know. But I don't know why content gets unblocked. But I do know this. I mean, I've done almost, well over 700 reactions in total. And of course, you know, I was really following the Led Zeppelin journey, especially over 200 videos dedicated to just Led Zeppelin. So you will see a lot more Led Zeppelin content than anything else getting unblocked. It's not that I favor Led Zeppelin in the sense of, you know, what gets published. It's just that there's just so much more of Led Zeppelin content that I've done that naturally, of course, that's probably going to be the content that gets unblocked a little bit more. I know sometimes people give me hell for that. Oh, you're just into Led Zeppelin. That's all you're about. It's just Led Zeppelin, Led Zeppelin. No, it's just the fact that I've done so many of it that more than likely that is probably a part of the content that will become unblocked. just because there's just so many. For example, I mean, I've only done, I think, 5 Beatles reactions, and 200 Led Zeppelin reactions. So you're going to see more of that content. That's all I can say, basically. But I don't know. I've been getting a lot of those questions, and I still don't understand why. Just so you guys know. All right, enough of that nonsense. Back to the great Randy Meisner. Wonderful man, great influencer. All of his contemporaries speaking very, very well of him. And it seems that he definitely had a really, really nice, pure way about him. The way he carried himself on stage and how he delivered his songs. Really, really fantastic influencer, even though he might not have been as highlighted as, let's say, Glenn Fry or Don Henley. Definitely a really, really great contributor to the Eagles sound, especially those first 5 albums. Absolutely. And I got to go back in time because the Eagles was one of the first artists of the month when I started doing Artist of the Month. I don't believe when they were Artist of the Month that I did them in album order. I can't recall. We're going back 2018, guys. So I'll have to go back and take a look. But I do remember, I believe that this performance was actually even part of my lineup of reactions. It's been that long, man. 5 years. Can you believe that shit? Anyway, so I'm gonna bounce, y'all. And again, in keeping with these tribute reactions, I hope that you're not going to see me anytime soon, but it's always great to see you. You know what I'm saying? It's that bittersweet kind of thing. So anyway, have a good one. Take care. And hopefully I won't see you anytime soon. Peace.